Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Through the Lens of Learning Career Development series. On this episode, we're going to continue the ABCs of career development, and today we are going to talk about the letter J, and we're going to talk specifically about job search engines. So there's so many different job search engines out there, and there is no one-stop shop. So which ones do you use? Which ones would be best? And I'll give you the answer that you don't want to hear. 2 words. It depends. So I will say in general, I have 2 favorites that are more of my go-to. And I'll share those as well as other job search engines, and also just sharing the filtering and the use of keywords and how to best search within those engines. So the 2 that I would recommend that I typically are my go-to is, the first one is LinkedIn. And once you're in LinkedIn, clicking on the jobs button and being able to search in there. You can use keywords. You can use, if you have more than one word in a string, so say you're saying operations management, you would put those in quotation marks. So it'd be quote, operations space management, end quote. And you can mix that with other things. It may be best to do that, operations management, in those quotes, and use the filters to help you, versus saying like and remote or something like that. You could try that. I always encourage to start the big wide search and then start to narrow more and more with your filters. The other thing with LinkedIn I just want to share, because a lot of my clients come to me and have this concern, is I found a couple jobs on LinkedIn that looked interesting, but there's already like 400 candidates. So there's already 1,000 candidates because LinkedIn says this number of people applied. And I want you to take that with a grain of salt. Yes, a lot of positions have hundreds of people applying nowadays, especially in this job market, but LinkedIn can't capture who actually applied, because typically what happens is when you want to apply for a job that you find on LinkedIn, you click the apply button, and most of the times it goes to the external company's website, and it takes you to that page, and you apply from there, and you fill out the information and submit that. Well, LinkedIn has no way to see if you followed through or not. So that number is actually telling you how many people clicked on the apply button, but you don't know how many of those people that clicked on it actually did anything. So please don't ward away from applying for a job because you see that number, and don't let that scare you away. If you have the qualifications, majority of the qualifications, if you're using the keywords and you have the experience and the skills, I would still encourage you to apply. Don't let that scare you off. The other job search engine that I would recommend is simplyhired.com. It's simplyhired.com. And this one, Simply Hired, is related in some way to Indeed, but I actually like Simply Hired better than Indeed. When I've done searching and the outcomes that I get, it produces a lot better results for my clients and what we're looking for. So Simply Hired is another one, and you can use those same search options of the quotation marks if you have more than one word. You can use Boolean operators, so you can put something and say and then space and another word. You could put or, you could put not. I would just encourage you to start big. So you could put in operations management in that quote, and leave it at that, and then do your filtering. Or you could, once you pull up and see, like say there's 305 for operations management, then you could either use your filters to see, hey, I just want remote, or if you plugged in your city and state, I want to see how many of these are making over $80,000, or whatever that might be. But start with that bigger picture, so then you can narrow down. Because if you put too many things in the search engine or too many filters up front, you're going to come up with either 0 results or very minimal results when there may be other opportunities that you would be open to and that sound interesting and that are available. So don't narrow yourself when you're doing that. So the other thing I wanted to cover is for job search engines, there are more specific engines based on your industry. So don't discount any associations that you may be part of. I know SHRM, the Society for Human Resource Management, ATD, the Association for Talent Development, and several others that are more industry-based have some job search options on their sites. So take a look there. A lot of those actually have local chapters as well. So see if you can find a local chapter and they may publish some items. I would still look at those big search engines first. For technology engineering type roles, dice.com, it's dice.com, is a great one, and that will bring back a lot of tech engineering type of roles for you. Another one is for 6 figures or higher. You can leverage theladders.com. It's THELADDERS.com. For this one, it will give you so much free information, typically not telling you the company, but check out the free option first to see if anything comes back that hits around what you're looking for. They do have a subscription, so you can sign up for, I think a month is, right now as of this recording, it's like maybe $54 or $55 for 1 month. I was able to get a special at one point to get 3 months for the price of 2. So it depends on what kind of deals they're running. And when you get the paid version of theladders.com, so let me back up. Theladders.com is more for 6 figures and higher, and it covers a lot of different industries. So if you have the paid subscription, it not only tells you all of the information about the job, including the name of the company, it also gives you the option of uploading up to 5 resume versions. And when you find a job that you're interested in, you can select one of those 5 resumes and have the ladders.com apply for you. So you fill in a little bit of information that's in your profile, and they may ask you some additional questions. And typically within a day, possibly 2 days at most, but all of the ones that I had tried, it was always within like 24 hours. The application was submitted, and then I was given where any responses would be sent. So like my personal email address, or if they had to create a profile for me, like how I would get the responses from that if I was asked for an interview or anything like that. So that is another option there. So those are some of the different job search engines. I would make sure, again, starting big, but then filtering. Some of the big filters are remote, hybrid, or in person. Making sure when you put your city and state, LinkedIn has an option where you can put in, like say you could either put in Columbus, Ohio, or you could put like Columbus metropolitan area in Ohio. I know in North Carolina, there's like the Raleigh-Durham area, or I don't think it says the triangle, but it's like the Raleigh-Durham, there was, I think, one more in their area. So be open and searching for that too, because it may take you a little bit outside of, or include a few more, possibly a lot more options that you would not have thought of, and they're only even a few minutes, or if it's a hybrid or in-person situation, away from other opportunities that you may have taken. So that is one thing when you're thinking about location. With looking at roles that are posted, I typically say go in and look. Don't put a time restraint on when it was posted. See how many come back, start to look through them, and then narrow it down to how many of these were posted in the last week or the last 2 weeks. So you know that they're more fresh roles that were put out there. even if they were reposted in the last week or 2 weeks. Sometimes what happens is if a job was posted more than 30 days ago, then it could be already have been taken down because they found somebody and hired them. They could be in the interview process and not have taken it down yet. It could have been a job that they decided not to pursue and they hadn't taken down the job posting. So please make sure that you're thinking about that. Again, start big and then narrow down your search for that. The other big one I would say that people use on the filter is the salary. And what I would encourage you, and this is something that I had to do, is I really had to take a step back and look of what is the salary what's the minimum? And that's a question I ask a lot of my clients. Like, what is the minimum salary requirement? And I had a client recently was talking about, well, I believe my minimum is this. Like, I might need to look at some stuff. And the person was saying, but I want to be in a position where I'm really happy. And that is completely up to you as to what is the budget that you need, because you can look at your budget, you can look at your expenses, and see what is the income, like that bare minimum that I need, and start from there and say, if it's 50,000, it's 50,000 and up, and you start from there. And if there are jobs with different ranges in them, it will give you those that fall into that range. What you can do is start at that minimum, and then as you want to narrow down your search even more, increase that a little. Increase it by 10,000, increase it by 20,000. Think about what you would be comfortable with. And the other thing I would say is to make sure that when you're seeing the ranges of salary on a job posting, one of the things that you need to be aware of is that higher range is probably not going to happen. So if you see a range and it says 50 to 80,000, if you have 75 to 80,000 as your minimum range, I would say not to apply for that job, because most of the time those higher ranges are reserved for somebody who's moving from within the company, or somebody that is that rare unicorn coming in able to do this job. And you may be that unicorn. And let me take that back. I won't say don't apply. I would just be cautious of putting everything on that job. Definitely you can apply if that's interesting to you. Also think about, if they did interview and offer you that lower wage, is that a job that you would still be interested in and take? Because that might be something that happens. So think about where you fall. I would say it's typically between the 25 and the 75 mark of the job is what you would actually make. So the 25 percentile and the 75 percentile as to where you might come in. And a lot of it depends on your experience, your skills, in the industry, in the type of role, all of those types of things. So be aware of that. Just be cautious of that. The other thing I would also say about your job search is make sure that if you really need a job, maybe you've been laid off, maybe you've been fired, maybe you quit, maybe you're in a role that you just desperately need to get out of. If you're not casually looking, set yourself a goal of how many jobs you should apply for a week. And I would say that range, if you fall into those categories I just mentioned, should be 5 to 10 jobs at a minimum that you would apply for. If you're casually looking, you're kind of okay in your job, you wouldn't mind finding something better, something different. You can set your goal if you'd like, but it's not as focused as in the other situations if you need to find something. So make sure that you're setting that goal, because you're not going to get called for interviews. You're not going to be found magically through searches if you are not putting yourself out there and you are not submitting your application. And one last thing before I go is I want to share with you one other job search engine I found, which is really interesting because I always consider this more of like a site that you could review, like a company and what people had to say about the company, but it's glassdoor.com, glassdoor.com. And in glassdoor.com, you can not only get reviews from people about the company, whether they're there, they interviewed, they're no longer there. You can get insight into that. You can also get insight into the salary ranges or the salaries of people in different roles currently or previously at that company. And you can also find out what jobs are available there, and it does have that job search engine functionality there. So that is a nice kind of all-in-one place for some of those different functions that you can see. And I will say one more thing before I go is the job search engines companies are posting to different engines. They may not be posting to every search engine. So make sure that you're choosing more than one. I would say 2, possibly 3. Take a look and see what opportunities are out there. And one more thing that I've thought of, and this is, I promise this is the last thing, is Google Jobs. If you Google, let's use the operations management in quotes, and then after that end quote, you have a space and then write jobs, it will pull up, and there's like a job search engine within there. The one thing that you need to be mindful of within the Google Jobs is that they may be older or stale jobs, and they may not have been cleaned out. So beware of that. And with that, I hope that's helpful information for you as you are exploring your next step in your career development. And please feel free to visit my website at www.careercompassusa.com to find out what products and services I have available for you. I hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.